So I think it's time to continue our series on the strongest characters in Dragon Ball. The first edition I talked about Vegito, the strongest character from the original 42 volumes of the entire Dragon Ball manga from back in the 80s and 90s. And I thought it would be fitting to follow it up with the strongest villain of the original 42 volumes of the manga, and that is of course the final villain that our heroes would face, Majin Buu. And thus on this video we're going to discuss the strengths, the feats, and the abilities that make Majin Buu such a dangerous opponent. Let's begin the discussion now. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I provide here on Geekdom 101, don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so that you get every video right to your device, and thank you so much. Majin Buu was the final antagonist of Akira Toriyama's original 42 volumes of the manga Dragon Ball, and the final villain of the Dragon Ball Z anime. And so the first time that we saw Majin Buu was Dragon Ball Z episode 232, which correlates with manga chapter 460. Now we're going to get into some of the techniques and the abilities that made Majin Buu so dangerous, but the first thing I want to quickly talk about is how dangerous the actual character is when we first see him. What made Majin Buu so different from his predecessors like Frieza, Piccolo, Vegeta, Cell, is that Majin Buu was very, very childlike, almost like an overgrown baby. Now, what made that original Buu that we saw so dangerous was the fact that he was so childlike, because when you're childlike and your development is so immature, you have no filter, no real sense of responsibility, and no defined moral compass. So that Buu for a long time was pretty much like sort of a slave to Babidi, listening to what he said, and in his mind, he thought that murdering and killing people was just a normal thing to do. So when you have a character like that who has so much power and yet doesn't really know what to do with it except for malicious things because that's the way he's being trained and taught to act, it could be an extra layer of danger for our heroes. But luckily, as the series progressed, we saw that Mr. Satan, of course, helped him become a good guy. Of course, then he would spew out his evil version and so on and so forth. Now, I did a video with Herms ages ago where we discussed which Buu is the strongest, and it's very clear that in the manga, Majin Buu with Gohan absorbed was the strongest, while in the anime there are statements from Goku and the narrator that hint that Kid Buu could be the strongest. That's entirely up to you to debate, but this video is about pretty much every form of Buu and what he can do, his abilities, not which one is stronger, but I'll be sure to link you guys to that video at the end of this video so you can watch that as well and hear our long discussion about that one. Now, obviously, Buu is extremely powerful. His demonic powers are beyond anything the characters had faced up until that point, and that's already problems enough. But the big issue that we had, that our heroes had with taking on Buu, was the fact that the dude was so freaking durable. Majin Buu's body is composed of a demonic, I guess you can call it gumball / liquid skin type of material that can sustain incredible amounts of damage, and we see this time and time again in the series. We see Majin Buu not only regenerate himself with great ease and not losing any stamina while doing it, we see him take a spear through the stomach from Dabura, we see him take blast through the stomach as well, we see him take multiple bullets, and we even have Vegeta blowing himself up, creating the biggest explosion, of his life anyways. Majin Buu gets torn up into millions of little pieces and regenerates. In fact, later on in the series, during the fight with Gotenks, Buu becomes almost ash and still can regenerate. So the only way to finish off Buu, even if you are stronger than him, actually finishing off Majin Buu is not an easy task. You have to pretty much destroy every single atom or hit him with some kind of technique like the Genki Dama that will completely neutralize every bit of his entire body. That's how you kill Buu. Again, easier said than done. With Cell, he had that nucleus that you had to destroy, which was kind of weird, but that's how Cell was. So when you're facing off against Majin Buu, if you're just a little bit stronger than him, he's going to win the fight because he's going to outlast you. You can pummel him and pound him with physical attacks as well as with ki attacks, and he's still going to survive. Unless you are somebody at the level of Vegito or beyond, whom we talked about last time on this series, who completely can neutralize every single version of Buu without even blinking, you're going to have a hard time killing this guy. So if you ask me, the fact that Buu has so much stamina and durability and can survive almost anything, that to me is his best trait, and we haven't even gotten to the fact that he's got tons of abilities that nobody else has. Of course, the first one that I think must be talked about is matter metamorphosis, aka he can transform people into food. He transforms people into different kinds of food, candy, chocolate, cookies. In fact, in the anime, there's even a scene where he transforms a rock into a urinal so he can take a leak. Now, unless you are significantly more powerful than Buu, when he turns you into candy, you are helpless. In fact, the only character that we see do something when he becomes candy is Vegito. Of course, like we said before, Vegito just has Buu's number no matter what. But Buu's ability to transform people into candy and eat them is something we see time and time again, and is something that can help Buu wipe out entire populations of cities without taking a breath. But one thing Buu can also do, which is a step beyond that, is the ultimate genocide technique, where Majin Buu can fire literally thousands of ki blasts from his hand and destroy the entire population of Earth. Somehow Buu has such pinpoint accuracy that he can fire millions of ki blasts down to the Earth and immediately rid the Earth of life. Well, except for a few people who survived, but almost everybody died. And that, of course, is a compliment to Majin Buu as a fighter. Don't forget the fact that Majin Buu is, as Goku himself said, a fighting genius. During their battle in West City, Goku does the Kamehameha once. Majin Buu sees the technique and mimics it. Buu, just like Goku did when he was a kid and he first learned the Kamehameha, only has to see a technique once and he picks it up just like that. And we see it later on as well when Buu does his own version of the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, which you could also argue is because he actually had Gotenks absorbed inside of him, but nonetheless, he can still copy his opponent's moves, which is very dangerous as well. The most important example of this is not the Kamehameha. It's actually later in the series when Kid Buu learns how to do the instantaneous movement after seeing Goku do it once, which began Kid Buu's complete rampage of the galaxy, destroying planets and stars one after another, before, of course, he would go to the sacred Kai realm and fight Goku and Vegeta in the final battle. But Buu learned the instantaneous movement just by seeing it once, and that was Kid Buu, who a lot of fans think is not the smartest Majin Buu. He proves otherwise. Now, of course, another dangerous ability that we saw is Buu's ability to absorb you. He can absorb fighters into him and take their abilities, take their mental prowess, take their powers. We see, of course, Super Buu doing this. And the only time we have an asterisk on the whole turning you into candy is with Buu and Fat Buu. Because if you remember, Fat Buu tried to convert the skinny gray Buu into a chocolate bar, and the technique was reversed against him, and then he ate him. Now, typically when Buu eats you, when he turns you into a food item and eats you, you die. But with Buu, Fat Buu that is, it was different because it was more of an absorption type of thing where the two Majin Buus sort of assimilated into each other. But as far as absorption goes, Majin Buu can remove a piece of his body, hide it somewhere, and then absorb you when you're not looking. Now, the big question that I know that people have asked throughout the years, ever since Battle of Gods, is how would Buu fare against Beerus when it came to absorption? Obviously, Beerus could wipe the floor with any version of Majin Buu without question, but think about this. What if Beerus, who is known to sleep for a long period of time, what if Beerus is asleep? what if Majin Buu sneaks up on Beerus asleep and tries to absorb him? Obviously, there's no way that Buu's going to be able to pull it off if Beerus is awake, unless Beerus lets him do it. But if Beerus is asleep and he gets absorbed, not only are we going to have Majin Buu achieve a level of power beyond literally anything he's ever done before, but I actually do believe that he can successfully absorb Beerus if he catches him sleeping. I mean, we know for a fact that Buu can absorb gods because he became the Fat Buu by absorbing Supreme Kais who were gods, so I don't see Beerus being an exception if he catches him asleep. And I think the same thing might actually go for Whis as well, but that's more of a gray area because Whis has abilities unlike anybody else. And by the way, I will be doing a video like this in this series about Whis in the future as well, so look forward to that one. But I digress. Like I said earlier, Majin Buu's body and durability is the big problem. He can also stretch out his body, which means he can hit you from long range with punches. He can put his feet underground and make them pop up from the ground and hit you. He can actually modify his face to resemble celebrities, which is awesome. He is just a giant piece of gumball glue that is very, very, very hard to kill. And in Dragon Ball Super, we discovered that Buu can actually train his body to lose weight and gain strength. So that's another thing we didn't even know. There are mysteries about Buu's body that we're probably never going to have answered because it's just a manga, it's just an anime, it's a fictional thing. He's just a really, really strong demon. And when it comes to power, I mean, we see some pretty incredible feats from Buu. During the fight with Goku and Kid Buu, we actually see Buu not only before the fight destroying planets with ease, the guy's just running through them like nothing. He also is able to literally shift the atmosphere and change the color of it. This is crazy. Not just that, but when Buu had everybody absorbed in him, he was so angry, he let out so much power that he began to crack space and time itself. He cracked the dimensional fabric. So that again tells us that Majin Buu can destroy with the best of them. And at this point, when Toriyama introduced Buu, obviously there was some influence from the T-1000 with the whole regeneration thing. Obviously he wanted to create a villain that would be very hard to kill, to where maybe even he had trouble figuring out how to finish this arc, but definitely one that will always be one of the toughest challenges ever. And now that Buu is on the good side, moving forward into Dragon Ball Super, we see how strong he is in his fight with Basal. We see he's still durable. He still remembers what he remembered before. And I look forward to seeing him fight in the future. Thank you so very much for watching another edition of The Strongest in Dragon Ball. Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you are new to Geekdom 101, punch that like button. I love doing videos like this, and I've got thousands of them for you to watch. If you're bored and you love Dragon Ball, this is the place to be because I will cure your boredom. Also, if you like this video, check out these as well. I love you all. Talk to you later.